whittled down the list of 7 candidates to 2.
Just 12 hours after learning their names made the ballot, Kevin Kelly and Justin Bibbs sat down together for an exclusive interview on Fox 8 News in the morning.
Crowded field of 7 has been narrowed down to 2 candidates. City Council President Kevin Kelly, nonprofit leader Justin Bibb will move on now to the November ballot. Both of them joining us this morning to talk about how they plan to move forward. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for joining us this morning after a very, very late night last night. I know you guys had to get up early, and congratulations to both of you. All right, let's talk about your strategy. I'm going to start with you, Council President. Your base is the West Side. How are you going to move on to the East Side and try to get more voters from that side of town?
Well, we're going to continue our campaign to get our message out that every neighborhood counts, and every person, every street, every neighborhood will count. The problems on the East Side are not different than the problems on the West Side. We've canvassed, we've knocked on doors, we've really listened to people, and crime and safety are the #1 issue in every single neighborhood in the city of Cleveland. Providing excellent city services, access to opportunity jobs, those issues are not different neighborhood to neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So I'm really going to reach out with the network of people that are supporting me and make sure that message resonates all across the city of Cleveland.
Justin, what about your strategy for winning this election?
We were thoughtful at the onset of running a citywide campaign. And, when we announced our campaign on January 12th, we did the hard work of truly meeting voters where they are, in backyards, front porches, barbershops, and salons, and I think that same strategy will bode well heading to the general election on November 2nd.
Why are you the best man for the job?
I believe right now in this moment, Cleveland cannot afford more of the same. Last night's results show that Clevelanders are desperate for change in this election, and our campaign is focused on that change and focused on providing hope, opportunity, and a new vision for the residents of this city.
Mr. Kelly, why are you the best man for the job?
Because Cleveland is in a fragile place right now where there's tremendous challenges, but also tremendous opportunities. Everybody will talk about change. Actually, doing change is hard. Everybody can talk about building bridges. Building those bridges is hard. Building coalitions. Taking change from where the problem is to where the solution is doesn't just happen. And you've got to understand how government works. You have to understand how the community works. You have to understand how to bring people together to see a vision and get there. And that's what I've been doing for 16 years.
What about people who say that you're part of the old regime? They're weary of the last 4 years of a Frank Jackson administration, and they tie you to the last 4 years. What do you say to that?
I would say that if I were one of my opponents, I'd say the same thing. However, if we look at what is it that I have done as Cleveland City Council President, and what is the role of the legislative branch, did we not, in terms of like authorizing funding for programs for departments, we don't administer. But I'll say this, if you look at some of the big, bold initiatives that have come out of the city of Cleveland since I've been council president, they've originated from the council. Right to counsel for indigent defendants, that's something that I initiated, and that came from the council. Raised from the public health crisis, that came from the council. Lead Safe Cleveland, that came from the council. First Year Cleveland, this was one of the first things that I really, when I became council president, this became my priority, is to focus on our shameful level of infant mortality. And we built the coalition, we brought together the philanthropic community, the healthcare community, people, all the providers that were in this space. And we realized that there was a lot of good people doing a lot of good things.
Justin, your reaction to what the council president is saying?
Well, I would say this, we cannot afford more of the same. And it's that experience that has gotten our city to this point. And my experience is a bit different. I've spent over 3 years advising mayors all across this country on how to better use data and technology to improve basic city services. As a board member at RTA, I fought for more affordable public transit all across our community. But as a community activist and leader, I've been on the front lines getting exposure on how we address criminal justice reform, how do we build more economic opportunity at our neighborhoods.
You know what your opponents are saying and have been saying, and they harp on the fact that you're young, 34 years old, don't have any experience as far as administrator in politics, as a government. What do you say about that?
Well, listen, I've worked in local government and had great success working in local government, but I've also had success and proven success in the private sector and the nonprofit sector. And I don't believe a career in government is a prerequisite to creating change all across our city. And I believe in this election, we need dynamic, visionary, bold leadership to get our community going in a better direction.
Council President, your reaction?
Again, government is hard. The challenges we face are hard. Platitudes are not going to get us out of this. When you talk about change, when you talk about work in the private sector, the work we've done, I think that it's really important that the voters of the city of Cleveland really compare the experience and the resumes of both. And when you hire somebody to run a $1.8 billion entity, you don't go on a resume and an interview. You got to look behind. You got to do reference checks. You got to look at what do the people bring to the table? Who actually has a history of making change? Who has a history of taking on difficult issues, getting through 2 recessions citywide, dealing with our healthcare inequalities, providing digital access to the residents of Old Brooklyn, focused on digital divide? Who knows how to do that? And I think that we have to move beyond. I'm just going to ask the voters of the city of Cleveland to look beyond the talk. Look to what is the record of each candidate and what is a tangible record of progress, of experience that is going to be best for the next 4 years for the city.
Mr. Bibb?
I would say this, the results last night speak for themselves. We led all night. We won the primary with nearly 20% of the vote. And it's because of the campaign we've run that shows you what kind of mayor I'm going to be. We're going to use data. We're going to use technology. We're going to bring people together. And we're going to center this government on the people. And it's that people power we need now more than ever to meet the moment in the city right now.
Talk about the first 100 days of a Justin Bibb administration.
Well, the first thing I want to do is something I've done with successful mayors all across the country. We got to do a top-down audit of every single department to determine what's working and what's not working, to get our priorities straight, to make sure coming out of this pandemic, we truly reimagine what city government should look like to have the most inclusive comeback in our city's history.
The first 100 days of a Kevin Kelly administration.
First priority is bringing together our safety forces, all the partners that are in this, and dealing with our epidemic of violent crime that's going on right now. If we don't get this right, nothing else matters. We need to come up with a plan to get a hold of violent crime. We need to put together industry leaders for digital divide, make sure that we do not accept the fact that we are the least connected big city in the United States of America. And finally, we need to bring together education, we need to bring labor leaders, we need to bring together those to stop accepting the reality that we live in a community where there are thousands of open, available, high-paying jobs, but yet unemployed and underemployed people in the same community.
Interesting to me, the last 2 mayors have endorsed both of you. Michael White endorsing you. Why is that important?
Well, Michael White did a great service to this city. And he believes that I'm worthy and ready for the job, and I'm proud to have his endorsement.
Mayor Frank Jackson,
Yes.
endorsing you.
Yes, very proud to have the mayor's endorsement because he understands what it is to lead a city. He understands the challenges that leading a city bring. And Mayor Jackson is a person of great integrity, great honesty, great character, and I don't think anybody would ever question that he doesn't want what's best for the city of Cleveland, and he believes that I am that person.
Say something nice about your opponent.
I think that Justin did a very good job in the campaign. He reached out to a number of people, and I think that he's really done surprised people in a way that that I didn't a lot of people didn't expect. So I think that he should be commended for that.
And
Well, I've always respected Council President Kevin Kelly. Like my mom, he's a social worker, and he has a commitment for this community, and the work he's done has been great for our city. But I think right now we need a different kind of leader to move our community forward.
looking forward to the campaign, gentlemen.
All right, well, Kevin Kelly and Justin Bibb's names will appear together on the ballot during the general election on November 2nd.
It'll be very interesting. Time now for a look at what's on News Nation tonight. Here is Leland Vittert.
Tonight, new images of Chinese warships off the coast of Alaska, what the sighting in U.S. waters means for national security, and what the Biden administration plans to do about it. That's coming up on Balance tonight, followed by News Nation Prime. Now here's a look at tonight's Banfield.
Thanks. Tonight on Banfield, he admits he hired a hitman to commit suicide for a $10 million insurance payout for his son. The Murdoch mystery deepens. Plus, the attorney for the woman suing Prince Andrew is live with us on Banfield.
And you can catch News Nation tonight on cable and satellite stations you see here listed on your screen. You can also head to newsnationnow.com.
Tradition hangs in the balance. Still ahead here tonight, how local districts are preparing to keep students safe for homecoming. Melissa.
Well, what started out gray and dreary is turning out to be a little brighter, a little more pleasant on this Wednesday evening. We're halfway to the weekend, so we'll have your full forecast, including the weekend forecast ahead in your 8 days. So stick around.